Hi, I'm Cally Nicole, and this is Keenan, and welcome to Spank University. Today we're going to talk about consent and how that can be utilized in your personal life and also in your professional life as well. When I'm working professionally, how I choose to give consent with my clients to make sure that they feel safe and that they're in a controlled state, in their very vulnerable state. So the best way, and I'll give it to my lovely co-star here, Keenan. Okay, today we're going to be working together, and I want you to feel safe and in control. So I'm going to give you my safety talk. Okay, these photos and this experience is for you. It's not for me. If I ask you to do anything that makes you feel remotely unsafe or uncomfortable, you let me know and I'll make it stop. Cool photos are cool, and we're here to capture something great, but if you don't want something captured, I have no intention, nor do I want to capture it today. So what are your boundaries today? How are you feeling? How far would you like to go today when it comes to nudity, etc.?
We'll see. I want to stay within my clothes.
You're gonna say, yeah, and that's fine. So I'm gonna keep you inside of your boundaries today.
Cool.
I'll be checking in with you throughout your shoot. If that ever changes, we can always stop, renegotiate your boundaries before we continue. And just because you're consenting now doesn't mean you're consenting once we begin or throughout your shoot. So I'll always be checking in with you. If there's someone else that's joining in the shoot and they're going to be there in the room with you and your client, it's really important to also make sure that your client's comfortable with them being there.
Introducing them.
So introduce them, make sure they know ahead of time, and then like right after you give your consent talk, just be like, hey, this is so-and-so. They're going to be here for the duration of your shoot. They're going to be helping me do lighting.
Also, that's a really good point. Also explaining why that.
Yeah, why
not
they're
just
there.
It's cool if you go, hey, this is Steve, he's going to be here, but a lot of people will go, well, why? If you explain
why is
to your
this
clients
random
why
dude in my
there,
shoot?
it makes them feel a lot safer opposed to just someone standing there watching.
So like, hey, this is Keenan. He's going to be here holding a big light reflector.
Yeah.
He's going to be helping keep you lit. But I can do my job without him. So are you comfortable with him being in the room? And make sure that they're saying okay with that. And then also, if that changes, we can stop, renegotiate, and he can leave and he can come back when we're done. Again, they're in a vulnerable state. They need to feel like they're comfortable with everything that's happening around them. And when it comes to boundaries and things like that, I think there should, being a photographer or videography, there should be no expectation of what someone's boundaries are.
No.
And also understanding that those are like fluid and change as well.
Yeah, we always have a lot of, with boundaries, we always have a lot of clients that go, oh, don't worry, I'm okay with it. And I always tell our clients, like, I'm going to ask you a million times.
Oh my God, a million times.
What are your boundaries? How far do you want this to go? Just because you've reached B, that doesn't necessarily mean you want to go to C.
Yeah, and also like a lot of like, if you're going inside of someone's bubble, like always step in and ask before you go in. So if like you need to help, and for the most part, like let your clients readjust themselves. Like there's no need for you to be stepping in.
People.
But if there is for some reason, anything within like a few feet of your client, always be like, hey, just I'm gonna be stepping to the right of you. I just need to do this thing that I'm gonna do. I gotta move this prop that's on the ground really quickly.
Yeah, our studio kind of has a policy that if I'm anywhere close enough that I can reach out and put my hand on you, that I will be asking you if I can step that close.
And your clients might feel really comfortable with you, and they might be like, hey, that's fine. You don't have to ask me every time. Ask them every time. Ask them every time.
I always give a little spiel that hey, I'm going to ask you a million times.
It's going to get annoying.
Get a little annoying, but it's my job and my responsibility.
Yeah, to keep you safe. To keep everyone safe. Yeah, it's super important.
Yeah. It is very important.
And like even boundaries with like within your own personal life, like with your partner, very important. Our boundaries shift and change. They're fluid. So also what's really important is to make sure that your client is being referred to, they want to be referred to, and everyone on set as well. Names, their pronouns
so before,
as well.
On top of our big consent talk, it doesn't matter if you're in the photo holding something, just there to hang out, because we let all of our clients bring whoever they want to make them feel comfortable as well. That's also a big thing and a big red flag. If you ever work with someone and they tell you no, you can't bring somebody,
run away.
You shouldn't be working with that person. That is a huge red flag.
Yeah.
But whoever's going to be in that room, or even in that, if we're shooting in a house, they might not be in the room, but if they're anywhere where we are, where we're working, Before our consent, we always introduce ourselves, and then we also ask everybody, even if we know them, to introduce themselves with their name, pronouns, and any information we should know about them at all. Like,
Also a really good thing too is like, is there anything about your body that you'd like me to know about in regards to your knees are really bad, you have a bad back, you don't like being put into XYZ kind of positions.
Is there angles you don't want of yourself? Once again, that's
also
consent.
very important. And not in a way that's like, hey, like we all have our body dysmorphia stuff, and it's okay, and so it's important as a photographer to understand what your clients may not like about themselves, so you can like help them move through it, but also so that you can give them like positive reinforcements while you're working with them.
Photos should be a confidence boost.
Hell yeah, you're their freaking cheerleader. That's what you're there to do. So they should leave on a high.
And once we've worked through all of that, we normally have our clients sign a contract beforehand, but we will then again run through the contract with them in the room and make sure that they are once again checking the boxes they need to and want to have checked.
Well, like, how do you want to be referred to online? Do you have privacy issues that you want us to be respectful of?
Where can we post your imagery? Where can we not post your imagery?
And if someone doesn't want their imagery posted, that's okay. I think some people get like really upset about that. They feel like they're like the owner of like the image, which personally, as like a photographer and videographer, I don't believe that. Like, it is my work, but it's also more so the person that's inside of it's their body.
Everything we do is a collab to us. Every piece of art we create is a collab. Yes, we're taking the photos and we're moving you and posing you, but you're the one doing that work. It's a 50-50 split. And
it's your body that's going to be out in the world for the rest of eternity. I think like it's the other thing, like when it's on the internet, like, yes, you can scrub as much as you like down the line, but you really do have to be aware of like what you put out there will be there, right? So be respectful of that and have that. So have a contract. Oh my God, have a contract. Another red flag of photographer without a contract.
Don't have a contract. And another half of this that we haven't really touched on is like all of this consent is also a safety net for like you
for the
yourself
photographer.
As a photographer.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
Like in today's world, you have to like protect yourself and make sure you're also safe.
Yeah, well, it's also like, especially even in like XXX stuff, like you should be filming the consent talk before you even get into it, so that they know, yes, you have done it. This is what people have consented to. You know, it just shows like the care that you brought to the set that day as a professional. So do it. Oh my God. Yeah. Now, when it comes to your personal life, that's the same thing goes. Because sometimes once you're being intimate with someone, how you're feeling kind of can change. So your partner should be checking in with you. Hey, are you liking this? And there's lots of beautiful language that you can utilize to do that without feeling like it's sterile or, you know, like you're stopping in the moment, which I think kind of holds people back from having that conversation with their partner. Yeah,
it loses its, when you're in the moment, people think it'll like lose the lust if you start talking about consent, but there's definitely ways to have that conversation with it still being spicy.
And consent is hot. Like someone checking in with you about...
taking care of you.
Yeah, hell yeah. It makes you feel cared for and like heard, which is sexy.
Consent is sexy.
Consent is sexy. So how would you check in with me when we're like
being intimate? Yeah, I mean that looks really different depending on how we're interacting. That can be a very different conversation. Normally when we're gonna be intimate, we always have a conversation beforehand of like, hey, what do you want this to look like?
Yeah, like how hard do we want to play today?
How hard do we want to play? And like sex looks different for everybody, and also within a relationship, you're not always having one type of sex throughout that relationship, so it's always changing for us depending on what direction.
Yeah, sometimes I'm not feeling like going too hard. Yeah. Sometimes I just want some tenderness.
Yeah. Normally for me, because and it also depends on the power dynamic of your relationship too. I mean, consent goes both ways, but for us, I'm normally the one that is, what am I looking for? Leading our sexual interactions.
Like the power.
Yeah, the power dynamic is definitely me being the top. So normally before we start interacting, I always ask like, what mood are you in? What direction do you want this to go? Do you want to play hard? Do you want to play soft?
Yeah. And that like makes me feel like in control of the situation.
Well, because you are
Yeah.
in control of the situation.
Oh yeah.
Both people are, and it's up to both of you to make sure it's being steered in the direction you want it to
Yeah.
go, and which comes back to consent. That's why you always have that talk at the beginning.
Yeah, and then like while we're like being intimate with each other, there's always a lot of check-in of like, does this feel good?
Yeah.
Or you want more of that or less of that or whatever, and it's
Yeah.
still hot. Like you don't need to stop or be sterile about it.
No, it doesn't have to like. I think when people think about consent, it's this very like robotic, like checking of boxes.
Yeah, hell no.
Which like it definitely in past relationships for me, it always just felt like you got to stop. Do you want this? Yes or no. But like as we do this for a living and we give consent talks to other people, there is ways of like consenting and like talking about consent and in not sterile.
Yeah, and making it like
ways.
part of sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like this other thing you do just before. It can definitely be worked into your sexual interactions.
Yeah, hell yeah, and it should be. I'm Cally Nicole, and consent is sexy.
Do you want me to try?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
You get in front. Okay.
Okay, ready?
Okay, ready.
Hi, I'm Keenan and welcome to Spank University.